Welcome in, guys, to another episode of the Advisor Odyssey podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about communication and marketing what's relevant. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good one.
This is the Advisor Odyssey audio experience, where financial advisors, planners, insurance agents, and brokers will find fresh new ideas and perspectives around what it takes to launch, succeed, scale, and bulletproof their business.
All right, guys, let's talk about communication. Communication is something that I think most men struggle with, right? Most men struggle with communicating. Just as I don't know why. Historically, whatever it is, maybe it's in our genes. But anyways, as a financial advisor, men and women alike, communication is incredibly important. Whether that's communicating to a prospect why they should work with you, whether that's communicating with the client after they agree to work with you, what's going to happen next, and everything after that point, communicating the client relationship, having that dialogue, open dialogue, back and forth. That's part of being a client, right? So communication is key. Now, it's not something that is sexy to talk about. It's not a big, shiny topic per se, but the advisors who take time to learn about and understand better and practice the communication techniques that whether it's on the front end side, the prospecting selling side, or if it's on the client management side, the advisors who take the time to learn about and understand that better and practice it will achieve and consistently do achieve better overall results in their business. So, for example, we're going to focus on the marketing piece today, like the front end side. Okay, for the sake of today, we're going to talk about the prospecting side of this. When you highlight, as an advisor, the quote unquote basics on a specific topic, that will serve as an amazing opportunity to get your point across right from the get-go. Okay, so for you, if you've got these armchair advisors, for example, that are doing everything themselves, the DIY investors, and they're really just meeting with you just because, this will serve as a great way to disarm them as well. Okay, but that's just one example of how communicating something very simple, very effectively, can immediately put you in a better position to succeed in the whole advisory, selling side of the world. Okay, so the reason why we titled this podcast episode why advisors need to be relevant in their marketing is because when you market what is relevant all the time, you will succeed more than the advisors who just do it every once in a while or don't do it at all. I've talked a lot about, in the past on episodes and in different content pieces, why evergreen content is so powerful. And it is. Evergreen content should always be something that you have on hand, whether it's a short video about how to handle market volatility when it strikes, or why young adults should have life insurance, or those are topics that they're evergreen. They will last and they will continue and continue. You might need to update them every once in a while when things change, laws, regulations, etc. change, but the actual concept of it is always going to last. So when you market relevant topics, though, things that are top of mind for people in that moment, you're going to get more responses on average than you will if you just consistently market evergreen topics. Think about it like this. Let's say it's what's relevant right now, I guess we'll call it, is the FTX scandal, the whole situation there. That's linked to the cryptocurrency world. So when people Google the FTX deal, what's going on with it, they're finding related items around cryptocurrency. Now, keep in mind, again, this is slightly time-stamping this episode, but at the time of this recording, the wave of the infatuation with cryptocurrency across at least the younger demographic, it's on the downward trend. Okay, we're at kind of the valley side of it. It'll pick back up again at some point, but we're in the valley piece. But when this whole thing started, when the trend was at its peak, at least recent peak, everyone was looking at what is cryptocurrency, what is Bitcoin, what is Ethereum, what are NFTs. Like, they were looking at all that. So it's in their mind. When someone does something, when you Google something, you will tend to remember it better than if you just read something. Does that make sense? Like, when you put forth the effort, when you write it down, you believe it. It's kind of that philosophy. When you seek and you search for something, you'll remember searching for it more so than if someone just tells you instead. So the advisors, for example, who are marketing relevant items, they will win. And I'm not by any means recommending you to, put cryptocurrency in your marketing. I'd actually recommend against that. But for the sake of the example, if you did market anything related to cryptocurrency or the scandal or why it values to have standard currencies instead, like things like that, you will naturally get a little more attention because you're piggybacking onto what major media outlets are talking about. Okay, same thing could be done. The war, Russia-Ukraine, like that was another example. Prices of oil, inflation, it all ties together. And this is not new information. Like, these are things that you've heard before, I hope. But sometimes it takes a couple more times or like a nudge in the right direction to actually take action on it. So I'm telling you here, here's a real example. And like, this is an actionable thing you can do right now. Taxes are a huge topic of conversation. And whether that's just dialogue back and forth or in like marketing type mediums. And that's for good reason. Why? Because it's relevant to everybody. Whether you're in the top or the bottom tax bracket, there's taxes. Okay? You're paying taxes. You're either looking for ways that you can get a higher tax refund or you're looking on ways that you can minimize the taxes you have to pay in that year. Like, it's and anything in between, I suppose, but it's really that simple. Americans have been told when taxes are increasing. Like, we know this. We know when it's supposed to happen. And we have a pretty solid idea right now of what those will be increased to, what the new brackets will be, what the new percent, like, we know what this is. So think about it. There are people who, when that time comes, like when you file your returns in a couple of years, they're going to be asking CPAs, how can I minimize this real quick? What are some things I can do at the end of the year? Any tax loss harvesting ideas? When the reality is that this could have been at least planned out ahead of time, years ahead of time. But people don't do that. Most individuals don't naturally do that. So the idea here that I want you to take is, and I've shared this idea with a couple other advisors, and they're excited. I don't have real results to report yet because they haven't officially launched it, but they're excited for it. We've been told when things are changing, we've been told how they're going to look. It's relevant. People are talking about it. There's political ties to it. Like, it's going to be continually discussed more and more and more as time goes on and we get closer. So imagine hosting a client event all centered around the big tax countdown. Like, imagine to yourself, like, again, you're probably driving or closing your eyes probably isn't an option right now, but if you could picture that big, like a doomsday clock, okay? Picture the doomsday clock, and it's just counting down. And that countdown is when the tax laws change, or when they go into effect, I should say. If you have that visible, think of how many conversations you will start because of it. Think of the urgency that you're going to continually put in front of people. Think of the urgency you're going to put onto your team as a whole. Like, you're going to have it, your team's going to have it. You're going to, like, immediately realize results from it. But again, a tax countdown. Could you host an event? Sure. Could you put it on your website? Yeah. But it's just something. Okay? It's something that's going to be relevant to everybody, and it's going to draw attention, and it will start conversations. That is then the ball is in your court to guide those conversations towards an outcome where you can help somebody, and hopefully you can also increase your revenue. Another idea is an educational series, whether that's in-person events or a webinar series, all around. It could be like, for example, simple ways to better your tax efficiency, or simple ways to increase your tax return or something like that. You can pre-record them. You can do them live, like at an event. You can do them live on a webinar. You can even do a blog series, YouTube. Like, you could do so much with that. But again, taxes are relevant. Current events should be a marketing focus priority number one, because they act as a compass that shows you which direction people will go when the storm comes. When the tax storm comes, you will realize and you will be able to see all the different directions people are running. Now, you don't always have to wait for the storm to arrive to see which direction they're going. If you knew where, Sally Sue, John Smith, Kathy, whatever, like if you knew that they were going to all of a sudden want to liquidate their investments, or they were going to want to sell their house, or they're going to do these like major things to try and capitalize on tax efficiencies at the last minute. If you knew that prior, you could be there ahead of time. You can be there in front of it, so then you can help them start planning. You can help them manage their emotions, probably in that example. But you could be there ahead of time, and that's ultimately what you want, to be there first. Now, here's a quote from Darren Hardy, which if you're not familiar with the name Darren Hardy, I'd highly, highly suggest you Google it and look at what he's been doing. He's absolutely incredible. But the quote is, "Where there's chaos, there's opportunity." Where there's chaos, there's opportunity. Remember that. In your marketing, we're not fear-mongering. We're not doing any of that. But where there's chaos, there's opportunity. In the financial world, chaos could be market decline, market crash, recession. It could be a real estate crash, housing crash. It could be cryptocurrency. It could be taxes. Like, chaos can be a lot of different things to a lot of different people. But if you stay relevant and you talk about that, you'll win more in the long run. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care.
We hope you enjoyed the Advisor Odyssey audio experience. Connect with us on your favorite social media platforms at Advisor Odyssey. You can find our full-length educational videos to watch on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Check out all our articles and publications on medium.com/Advisor Odyssey. The Advisor Odyssey podcast is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. The contents and opinions shared, expressed, or otherwise alluded to on the Advisor Odyssey podcast and audio experience are solely ideas and not to be depicted as tax, legal, or investment advice. Results from the use of these concepts may not be representative of the experience of all financial professionals and are no guarantee of future success. Your results may vary. The Advisor Odyssey and its affiliated members are not to be held liable or responsible for any lawful recourse or punishment invoked upon the individual or accompanying business partners or team members. Federal law, state law, and/or insurance carrier requirements may prohibit or place limitations on any of the ideas and activities expressed. All advisors, planners, wholesalers, affiliated reps, and investment advisors should be aware of any limitations imposed by federal regulation, state regulation, insurance carriers, broker-dealers, and registered investment advisors as applicable. Investment advisors are strongly encouraged to obtain pre-approval from the broker-dealer, registered investment advisor, insurance company, or similar institution with which they may be affiliated.